If you haven't listened yet, all 6 episodes of KGW's new true crime podcast, Should Be Alive, are available now. The series examines the 2019 murder of a Vancouver teenager named Nikki Kuhnhausen, who was killed for being transgender. Last summer, a man named David Bogdanov was sentenced to almost 20 years in prison for strangling Kuhnhausen. This week, we released a bonus episode of Should Be Alive. It features an interview with the judge who presided over Bogdanov's murder trial. Ashley Korslien is the host of the podcast. Ashley, sorry, I bungled your last name there. We've worked together forever. So unusual to hear a judge willing to talk about the case.
Yeah, this was, I believe, a first for him and a first definitely for me to be able to have this opportunity. So we talked with Clark County Superior Court Judge David Gregerson, and we sat down for more than an hour, and he was really candid. He opened up about this entire experience, sitting on the bench during a high-profile murder trial, also during the pandemic. This was a case, Pat, that really began very circumstantially, and so Judge Gregerson talked about, how he thought that might play out in the courtroom, but then it evolved into claims of self-defense, where you see Bogdanov on the stand there. All the pieces that really had to fall into place from the start to the finish to even get to trial, let alone result in a guilty verdict, was quite remarkable to Judge Gregerson. And so we talked a lot about that and a variety of other topics related to this case. Take a listen. What was it about this case? You said that you will take this into retirement. You will never forget this. This is a case in a lifetime. What is it about it that really sticks with you professionally, but also just emotionally and as a member of this community?
I think because it was such an extraordinary result, given the challenges to the case as I saw them when it came in the door. The chances of being able to convict on what seemed like a pretty circumstantial case, of having all the possible things that could go wrong, of having a political climate in this country where we're largely divided, and that people could have glommed onto some part of this case that was not really germane to what was alleged and what was alleged on behalf of the defense. So, and the fact that it was a very high stakes, highly emotional 2-week roller coaster of a trial, and we were all pretty tired at the end of it. So all of that contributed to my sense that this was truly an extraordinary case. And Nikki, went to the same high school that I did here in downtown Vancouver. So, any 17-year-old is at risk and vulnerable, but with the family situation and being trans, the challenges and the risks were just enormous. And regardless of those risks or choices or anything like that, nobody deserves to be strangled and have their body dumped up on a mountain.
Right. Is there a particular message that you will take away from this case, or that you hope it sends to the greater community at the end of the day?
Boy, I'll leave that to other people. I'm actually learning more things about the case all the time, including from your podcast. Again, I'm not the Wizard of Oz who knows everything that's going on behind the scenes, so some of your interviews and things are illuminating. I hope that this case serves as an inspiration for all those people who were on the list of the witnesses, from the crime lab technician to the detective to the people who were up there documenting the remains, or et cetera. I think there's an unspoken excellence that's often out there, and it doesn't make the news very often because it's not sexy or glamorous, or it doesn't fit 140 characters on a social media tweet. But there's just a lot of really good people out there who are working hard and professionally and diligently performing their tasks. And my message and my takeaway from all this is that those people sometimes deserve, and they should in this particular case, pat themselves on the back for how the trial went down, the excellence of it, and the result that came about, that a jury was able to get the case and render its decision.
Yeah, Judge Gregerson actually referred to all of those people during the sentencing portion. He delivered this really eloquent speech to the courtroom, and he called them the bright lights in what was a very dark case. This trial, Pat, it was last August, was just fraught with a lot of dramatic moments. I mean, I think I counted a half dozen motions for mistrial from the defense attorney. There was a point where a juror was refusing to deliberate, and so everyone thought there may be a mistrial because of a hung jury. And so there's a lot to this case and a lot to our interview. It was almost an hour long. And so if you'd like to check that out, I hope you listen to that full interview with Judge Gregerson.
Yeah, and so rare to have the judge speaking so openly.
Absolutely.
I'm really glad he did it. People will learn a lot by listening.
They sure will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. You can now listen to all 6 episodes of Should Be Alive wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to learn more about the case, we have photos, videos, and much more information at kgw.com/shouldbealive. We'll be right back.